Howdy, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Reseller Niche Podcast. For everyone listening out there on iTunes and on YouTube, how's it going over there, Russ?
It is a beautiful day in Savannah, Georgia. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I want to get right into introducing our fabulous guest over there, Mr. Wade from Wade's Ventures. And I'm going to let him do it himself. Wade, can you take it away? Just give us a brief background for the two people who don't know who you are.
Absolutely, guys. So I'm actually Wade's Ventures. My name is Wade, and I'm a full-time reseller as of a month ago on eBay, Amazon, Poshmark, and a few other locations. And really happy to be a part of this podcast and part of this show, Mo and Russ. You guys have been amazing, really cool stuff, and appreciate you guys inviting me on. And I'm really interested to kind of see how this plays out for the next hour or so.
Oh yeah. So Wade is our subject for the show. Is basically Wade has been a reseller for a while, but he's transitioned very recently to going full time. So we're going to be asking Wade some questions about his before transition, how it is last month or so. He's been full time, and he's really big on social media. So we're going to really kind of try and delve in a little bit on that too. So why don't we start, Wade, if you kind of give us a little bit of background about Wade before reselling or the beginnings of reselling.
Yeah, so not too interesting, but so long story short, I went to college and didn't graduate. It was just a community college. Moved to Oregon probably, it's been a while now. It's been almost 10 years. And I moved to Oregon, got a part-time job at a corporate company, and everything was going fantastic. Got a few promotions. I worked out of a city called Salem, Oregon, and that's about 45 minutes from Portland, where I'm at. And was going great. Then moved up to Portland with the promotion and worked there for going on 9 years. I had a 401k and a beautiful cubicle, and worked there for a while. And about 2 years ago, I've always resold locally, a lot of local stuff, and I've done a little bit of eBay back in the day, but really how I got involved with it was I was buying storage units as of like 2 or 3 years ago. And, saw Storage Wars and thought, well, I wanted to give that a go. Did storage units, and then it just become like a full-blown part-time job. It was beautiful. I loved it. And so I've been doing a lot of storage units, and that's kind of how I got in the game of eBay. Was I needed a place to kind of unload all this stuff that I can sell, that I couldn't sell locally online. And then started eBay up and did that for a while. And then one of my good friends, Chris, 10K in the Bay, decided, we talked and thought it'd be great for me to be on social media. So kind of started social media, reselling, and just kind of the whole thing. And here I am as of a month ago, full-time reselling, talking with you folks.
Let me ask you about the company you worked for. You don't have to give specifics or anything, but what kind of industry was it in?
So I actually worked in perfectly fine. Now that I'm not working there, I give that all the time. So I actually worked for T-Mobile. I was in so I didn't work out of a retail store. I was actually a business exec, and so I handled a lot of the big nonprofits. We had like the Columbia Sportswear accounts and Nike and some of the other larger nonprofits here in Oregon. And I was basically a glorified manager is all, anytime they needed a phone for a project.
How you said you started out, you were commuting about 45 minutes away, but then you moved up to Portland. How long was that commute to work every day?
It's not bad. And the commute wasn't too long because we ended up, once I got the promotion from Salem to Portland, I pretty much moved to Portland quite quick. But you can get there and back probably less than an hour. So it wasn't too bad. So basically 2 hours, you can be there and back. But the job was, as of 2 years ago, I never thought about going full time. I didn't have the idea of selling full time. I thought I would retire there. I was there 10 years and it was a fantastic job for me. But, as the months were going on the last year, I realized sitting in that cubicle that I quickly realized I was building somebody else's dream. I really, every single day that passed, I wanted to leave quicker and quicker and quicker and get home and resell. And the flexibility of that and just the treasure hunting. So, that's kind of, it kind of, in my mind, I felt that this was the only option, to both make me happy and spend more time with the family. So.
And was there, I mean, I can remember because I had a background in IT and I was in a cubicle just like yourself. Was there a day or a time or like a moment that you said, you know what, this isn't for me? Yes,
there was. And I'm trying to remember the exact moment. I think it wasn't very pleasant because I got a really interesting phone call from my boss, and I just decided, you know what, I'm tired of working for somebody else. And at the end of the day, you got to realize like reality from, fantasy. And the fact is, I made good money. I mean, I was averaging $160,000 a year working for T-Mobile, which is great pay. And a lot of people think, well, they're going to go full time and they're going to take a pay cut and do this full time. I think if you work really hard at reselling, you can make just as much money as you were before, but still be your own boss and own the company. So
exactly.
At the end, so I don't think I mean, maybe I took a pay cut just for the initial few months, but I think once I get up to speed, I'll be making the same amount of money and have way less stress. I can tell you the day that I quit, there was so many emotions that was flooding, and I did. I was trying to really like hone in on when you quit your full-time job, especially after 9 years, going on 10 years of working for somebody, it's just a weird feeling. For the first 2 weeks that I was full-time, I still, in my back of my mind, thought that I was still working for T-Mobile. Like I had that, unfinished business that was back there. And it's a really hard to explain feeling. And it took a couple of weeks to realize, hey, I'm on my own now,
Yeah.
And so I literally get my last paycheck tomorrow from T-Mobile, and then I'm officially, getting paid via whatever I'm doing, how hard I work. So it was just a really weird emotion. It's just interesting.
It's that Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom moment when he steps across that, the chasm that he looks in, and he steps out, and your foot hits that solid ground, and you go, whew.
Yeah.
So
Oh yes. And it's just a really interesting time. I mean, do I recommend people go full time? Absolutely. If you have, you got to understand is you obviously have to have the structure in place. And I think that, and we'll go into that, but I think, going full time is would I have gone full time, sooner? No, I think I did it perfectly. I had all my ducks in order, had, my eBay business already up and running, because I was doing that part-time on the side. So, I don't want to get the wrong impression to where, everybody takes a leap tomorrow or Monday and decides to go full-time. It's definitely hard, but I think you can overcome that by just doing, everything you need to get your ducks in line.
Right. And it depends on your personality and your situation. If you had thought about it, you had your plan B going. Steven Peterson likes to say, have your plan B. You had it going, and now it's your plan A. But even there's a lot of people in a situation to where they come in on Friday and they don't have a job. Yeah. That's a perfect time to go full time because now there is no safety net.
Yep.
Yeah. And so you just burn them and tear it up. But if you're new in it, I would never suggest anybody going full time unless it's just an absolute necessity. Yet, as Wade, you were in sales, so sometimes that best year of a salesperson is their first year.
Yeah, there's something for me that even when I was working at the corporate job, I realized that I had the mentality that I had to hit my numbers each month, to pay bills. And I think once you're under the gun, you really realize that you've got a list, you've got to do the proper steps to really put yourself in a successful situation. Yeah. And so, and there's a lot of mistakes that I made prior to going full time. And even now, the first month that I've been full time, there's mistakes I made. So definitely a learning process. But, anybody out there that's thinking about going full time, I can tell you that, you'll know when you're ready to go full time. You will know. And we can convince others we're ready, or we can convince others is, just as easily as yourself. But I think you really got to know, in your gut, is your family, is your friends, are people supporting you to go full time? And then once you're ready, you'll know and you'll take the leap. So.
Okay. And then, that's a perfect segue. Could you go into a few details about things that you did to prepare that last few weeks or maybe the last few months because you knew you were going full time?
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that I would have done and I should have done and the things that I can recommend people to do. So one thing that I recommend is a lot of people have the mindset when they go full time, hey, I'm going to have all this extra time. I can go sourcing now. But I think I think you probably what you should do. And what I did was as I was transitioning into going full time, I actually sourced while I had that job. So that way, when I jumped into full time, I had a plethora of items. Some say with death pile, but I think it's a nest egg. So right when you go full time, you then can spend time listing, which is what makes you the money. And so not spending hours and hours sourcing, you already have, a good pile that you can start listing, getting your eBay account active. And ultimately, I think that's the main thing is when you go full time, you've got to realize on your hands, you've got to put, the different things that are going to make you money because that's ultimately what's going to pay your bills. And although sourcing's a part of that, it's good to have a little nest egg of stuff you can list right away for a few weeks. That's one that I would recommend. And, list out the important things that are going to help you make money. And then everything else can kind of be second thought.
Yeah, definitely.
Wade, what kind of things in that transition or in this last month, what kind of things have you noticed that you're getting the time to do? And then also, what are the things that you're cutting out that can be, some people can consider time wasters or not in good for your business?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So I've been sleeping in more than I should. Let's be honest, right? It's so for me, the first couple of weeks I didn't have a calendar, and I'm not saying you need a calendar, but you need to put down and have a regimen, like a schedule, what you're going to do daily. I know that for me, I thought, okay, I'll just wing it because that's kind of what I did with my full-time job. I had to wing it, right? But I realized that going into full-time, you need a structure. I didn't have a structure for the first 2 weeks, and I'm still actually working on that structure now. So you've got to have, a few hours blocked out for taking pictures, a few hours blocked out for listing. And then you also have cleaning, prepping. Obviously, this depends on what you're selling too, because clothing is going to be a lot less maintenance than if you're selling, car parts or something like that. Right. But you've got to realize and set, obviously the more important stuff first. And I would say structuring your day, waking up earlier than you're typically used to. So that way you have more time at night to spend with family. Because I can tell you that going full time, the beauty of it is you can set your own schedule and hang out with the family and friends and source a little bit longer than you're typically used to. But you'll quickly realize that eats up a good portion of your day. And then you got to go back and list. And that's what ultimately makes you the money. So structuring your day to where, puts you in a successful mindset, I think is really, really key. And then also a couple things too that I started doing was you need to know before you go full time what your bills are going to be. So that way you know exactly what you need to make monthly for your reselling business to stay afloat. Because I can tell you guys, once you do this, you only get one shot. You can't pay your bills. You're going back to that 9 to 5. And so you've got to do it correctly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And then did you notice, obviously, your schedule changed from when you had the 9 to 5 and when you didn't? How did you see that kind of the workflow change in terms of what did you focus on more when you went full time as opposed to when you weren't?
Well, that's a great question. When I went full time, my focus kind of shifted. It's a little bit different for me because not only do I have eBay and the different platforms I'm selling on, but I also have social media too, right? So Instagram and YouTube and editing videos, and the list goes on. So for me, I had to I changed my mindset. I used to package all my stuff up in the mornings, all my shipments, and then ship them out later that day. Now I've changed it where I'll package at night because I realize that at the end of the day, I'm kind of tired and I need to do something that can zombie through without much brain power. And then that way also in the morning, you have more time to do what's important because you're fresh. You've got up, and so I've changed it to I'll package things at night, get ready for shipment. So tomorrow, the next day, the following day, I can ship it out, and then start the important stuff, listing, taking photos, stuff that's going to make you the money, and then start structuring like YouTube and Instagram and social media. And I've also blocked out time to where I'll respond to comments on social media and this and that at night, as opposed to during the day when I need to be most productive. So,
is that a 4-hour work week type thing, or?
Oh, jeez. Guys, the saying: you leave a 40-hour job for an 80-hour job.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's what they don't tell you.
And if you're, when I was working in corporate America, when I walked out that door, that job, I didn't think about that job until the next morning on the drive in. Now it's, 80 hours a week working, but how much brain power are you using? You're constantly thinking, you're constantly,
It's a new member of the family, basically. I mean,
it is the member of the family sometimes, and you do have to be careful of that, because that can take you away from family and take you away from, your wife says, "What are you thinking about?" Well, eBay, sourcing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's tough. But I did catch one thing, Wade. Though you said when you wake up in the morning and you're fresh and stuff. Now, I can tell right away you're young, because when you get a lot of these, some mornings you don't wake up fresh, but it takes a lot of coffee to get me fresh in the morning.
That's actually a perfect segue. What is like that first day when you woke up? Was it relief? Was it fear? Was it a combination of both? What was it?
It was really interesting. And for the viewers that are out there that are wondering my age, I'm somewhat fresh. I'm 33 or 32 actually. Sorry. Nice. Getting old. I'm forgetting how old I am. But so it's the first day. I definitely had a lot of emotions. And it's, if you have a family, if you have kids, it's even magnifies those emotions, because you've got, a family to support. It's a little bit different if you're single, or you have a little bit less responsibility. So for me, it was tough. The first day I did actually work on eBay, got up, did sleep in a little bit. And in the back of your mind, it was really weird. The time that I was working on eBay and I had my corporate job, I felt guilty because I felt like I had to be working on the corporate job. But then I knew I was going full time, and it was like a reverse effect. I was thinking about eBay, feeling guilty that I wasn't working on eBay, knowing that I was going full time. So when I did go full time that first day, it was definitely a flood of emotions. I don't think it hit me that I didn't work for T-Mobile anymore. Like it at that point, it didn't hit me. It felt like I was still working there.
Yeah.
And then a few days later, that's when it hit me, hey, I am now full time. Yeah, I better get my butt in gear. And that the first 2 weeks, I can tell you, was just all over the place. And it's one thing I regret. I was definitely not prepared. I was prepared a little bit, but I wasn't prepared structurally. And now I think I am going into week 3 and 4. But for those of you who are thinking about going full time, and I know, Mo, you're thinking about going full time as well.
I am by the end of the summer.
Yeah. So another thing too, you got to think too, is you got to understand the time in which you're going full time too. Clothing slows down these few months, right? And they kind of creep back up end of third quarter, fourth quarter. So you also got to understand what you're sourcing these slow months. If you end up going full time, or even for your part timers, you may want to consider doing hard goods, which technically sell a little bit better during the summer than fourth quarter.
Oh, yeah.
Or excuse me, then summer slowdown. So, or then close in summer slowdown. So, yeah, it's been interesting, Mo. It's been interesting, guys. It's a really, I don't regret anything. I love going full time, and I love the freedom. And it's almost like a fire has been lifted. You guys, when you get a new job and you're ready to go at it.
And you've hit the realization too. You've said it a couple times, Wade, about like what makes you happy. And this is from years of experience. I was in corporate America for 20 years. After the 10th year, I was unhappy, and I can remember the day and the very position and where I was at, and I went, what am I doing? and I put another 10 years in. So, you know, people can say, well, you put, I lost 10, or I'm doing this and I'm 10 years out or whatever. But man, I wish I had those 10 years back to do what I want. Yeah, to be happy at that aspect.
I think that's such a great way to put that, Russ. And it's, you know, to your point, like one thing that you gotta ask yourself too is, you know, are you going to be a happier person doing this? You know, I think a lot of time when I was in corporate America, there may have been stuff that I was unhappy about that I could have changed to make it a better situation. But then there was also stuff that corporate America did that just, obviously that's corporate America, and that's just the dark spot of working for, you know, a big corporation like that. Right. And it just comes with the territory. So when I went full time, you also got to make sure your wife is good with it, because guys, your house is it's gonna be crazy with inventory. Like I see my garage now, so make sure your family is okay with it. But yeah, it's
you mean the dining room table is not only the dining room table? What are you talking about? I have this argument with my wife. I'm like, what are you putting food on my shipping station for?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, Ashley, if you're watching, you're beautiful, and I appreciate you putting up with all my stuff in the house. So we'll just leave it at that. Yeah, it's
so, let's focus in on the platforms. Have they changed, like from before you started going full time to now? Did specifically, like, are you like FBA, eBay, Posh? But I know Poshmark is relatively recent for you.
It is, yeah. I think one major thing for me when I was going full time is you need to have your eggs in multiple baskets. You know, a lot of people, they're diehard eBay fans, which is fantastic. But you need to kind of branch out in multiple platforms, have multiple income coming in, especially in these slower months. And so, you know, I put out a post on Instagram the other day, and I was in Salvation Army and I was sourcing for eBay. However, I did go in there and saw some stuff for Amazon FBA, which is basically fulfilled by Amazon. And had I not been on Amazon, I would have not been able to purchase that merchandise. And so, you know, you really got to make sure that you're managing your time correctly, and being on multiple platforms and being able to source in one location for multiple platforms. I think it really helps when you're full time, and you want to have money coming in constantly, you know, because if it's slow on eBay, you're not making any money. But, you know, if it's slow on a lot of the platforms, at least you're getting something trickling in from Poshmark, you know, eBay, and I'm doing Amazon FBA to answer your question. I'm not doing fulfilled by merchant, but I am working on, you know, maybe doing a little Etsy as well, but being on those multiple platforms to get, you know, income coming in from different directions.
That makes sense.
Have you tried that Macari yet?
I haven't. I really want to, actually.
I tell you, we had Shane on a couple of weeks ago. We had him on again this week, but Shane, and he kind of got me going. He said, you know, Macari's easy. And I did. I recommend being on Macari also. And I like the aspect of keeping Macari inventory, just like you keep your eBay and Amazon inventory different. But I was really impressed, Wade, with that app. I suggest everybody take a look at it.
I need to do that too. I haven't touched it yet.
Yeah,
I've actually got some sales on it already. So
nice.
Yeah, that's what counts.
That's the ultimate grade. Does it sell? Yeah. Does it work?
Right.
Okay. So then I know you do. So you've got Poshmark, which is newer. Was there anything that you cut out from what you were doing before now, or it kind of slowed down? Because I know you don't do, you know, certain things, but
yeah. So that's a good question, because when I was doing these storage units, because that's kind of what really got me into all this, right? I was purchasing, you know, 7 to 8 storage units a month, which doesn't seem like a lot, but remember, we're talking 5 by 10s, 10 by 20s. I mean, this is a lot of merchandise. So what I was doing was, when I was purchasing these storage units, I was kind of doing a lot of local sales, not much eBay and online. And then when I had to shift over to the corporate job, I realized that, and when you have a baby, you don't want a bunch of people coming to the house, and it limits your time. That's when I kind of went online for most of my stuff. Now, the transition going into full-time, I realize now that I do need to mix it up a little bit and sell locally again. And so that's one thing that I'm focusing on now too as well. When I get some of these bigger bulky stuff, I now will sell locally, Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, LetGo are 3 good locations. I also buy stuff from Craigslist with buy ads as well, vintage Nike and other items. So really the local game is going to perk up for me, I believe. And then also one thing I didn't do in the past and I will do now is wholesale. I firmly believe that for me to be successful, at least, I want to have at least 25% of my business with replenishables, stuff that you can buy in multiple quantities.
Makes sense.
And then have the rest one-offs, because I do love that one-off game, and the margins are amazing.
Oh, yeah. And what is the local market like? Because I'm not from your area, so what is that like, buying-wise, selling-wise?
I think it's fantastic here in Portland. It's like we're so blessed. We have Adidas, we have Nike, we have we have Columbia Sportswear here. I get a lot of Pendleton stuff here. We just have so many good and I do a lot of clothing, guys. You can see in the back of me, it's a bunch of bins. I love clothing, especially when I was at it. When I was doing this part-time, because you can fit a ton of clothes in one location.
Yeah.
We're blessed in this area, but for the local game, I get a lot of cool stuff here. Now there isn't a lot of manufacturers. There's not a lot of wholesale deals here like there is in California. But for the one-offs and the kind of cool stuff, I mean, it's pretty big here. I mean, we're in a really dense populated area here in Portland. So.
Oh yeah, we were looking. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Russ.
How's your buyers? Are you having pretty good success? I know, like, one of the problems people always say is, the no-shows and stuff like that. To me, from what I understand of your area, pretty progressive. People are going to be a little bit more attentive to other people. Like, hey, if I'm saying I'm going to meet you, they're going to meet. Do you find that? Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of ways that you can sell locally. A lot of people would rather meet somebody at a location close to their house. Some people don't mind if you meet them at your house and you sell out of your house. For me, it was where I was doing a lot of location buys and sells. Now it doesn't necessarily matter too much if they come to the house, because they don't come in the house, and I'll sell it right out of the house. And that one way you can, the good thing about that is you can kind of save time. I think that there is going to be those buyers that say they're going to come out to you and they never do. And you can kind of put that in your ad too. Like, everybody puts only serious buyers, but in my ads, I actually put a phone number down, and when they text me and they don't just do a one-liner, I know they're somewhat serious, and I can meet them. And a lot of cell phone companies now, coming from a cell phone world, you can have multiple numbers on one phone now. So if you guys are scared to give your personal number out, you can do a secondary number at no cost with T-Mobile, at least. And then have that be your local.
I did not know that, because I have T-Mobile too. So okay.
Yeah, it's called Digits, and you can have up to 6 numbers on one phone at no cost. And so you can create your own, and you can label them too, work, Craigslist, whatever, and then it'll pop up. So that way you then can have that number, attuned to. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do that, I think.
I've gotten where I'm not real concerned about people, especially through like Facebook app and stuff, because the minute somebody goes to buy something from you, or you go to buy from them, you're hitting that profile. You're going to look at them.
That's true.
You're making a judgment call right there. If they look sketchy, you probably get, we're going to meet in front of the police station. But Craigslist had such a problem. You didn't know who you were meeting.
Yeah.
So and so they got into that issue. But I've gotten more and more laxed on, like, we live in a fourplex, so it's like, come on over, meet you downstairs.
Yep. Yeah. It's everybody local sales, I think, are a big portion of your business. When you're full time, you've got to get rid of stuff, and obviously it's cash in hand.
Cash in hand. Oh man, yeah.
Okay.
Cash is king.
That's true. What about, like, are you a big thrifter, RA, OA?
Gosh, I am the biggest. I want to say I can't come up with a good word for it. Probably a mutt, because I'm a combination of everything.
Oh, gotcha.
You go on my Instagram and you'll see me at Goodwill, and the next day you'll see me do a bulk buy, and the next day you'll see me do, retail arbitrage. It's just
Smart.
right now I'm in the testing phase. I'm kind of in the honeymoon phase where I'm full time and I just want to go everywhere and kind of experience everything. And I'm watching people like Craigslist Hunter Pete. He's picking up these crazy electronics, and now I'm trying to dabble in that a little bit. But to be honest, I would say most of my opportunities now are thrifting, Goodwills, Salvation Armies for vintage clothing. And then I'll do a lot of, I do have relationships with a few store managers at Salvation Armies, and I get bulk buys there constantly. And then I am working on, my goal is every other day to do 5 phone calls to wholesalers and get that relationship going, because replenishables, I want to be a good portion of my business. So, there's, and then I also do buy ads. So I'll put buy ads on Craigslist for people that have vintage Nike, because a good portion of my store, I've got, I think 2,300 items on eBay now. And I would say 40% of that is vintage Nike. So, there's a lot of ways that I'm in a good area for vintage Nike or Nike anything really. So there's a lot of ways that I'll dabble in, reselling currently. But Amazon's a little bit on the back burner, but now that I've been full-time, I've been doing a little bit more Amazon FBA and, scanning stuff. You can do a lot of people do Walmarts. Even a lot of people will find good stuff at Dollar Trees, Dollar Generals, for Amazon FBA and fulfilled by merchants. So
Now, vintage Nike's your bread and butter, but is it your passion? What's your passion on that? Is it also your passion? Like, when you find them, you're like, yeah, baby.
Yes. Oh,
okay,
yes.
Cool.
I there's nothing. So there's a few things that you can do on eBay, and I don't want to say this word lightly. Like, I would say recession proof. And the reason I mean that, if you get bread and butter stuff like, Abercrombie or just stuff that there's a million of it online, you're going to have a little bit harder time sometimes. But when you get one-off vintage stuff, whether it's Nike or anything, you're gonna really see that there's obviously a lot less online, and so you'll start selling. Your sell-through rate be high, and that's one reason I love vintage stuff. My sell-through rate's pretty high. I've got one-off stuff, and I think that's the love that will never go away, and that's the reason I would never really fully want to go to Amazon FBA and just continuously do that. So
I think I'm the same way, and that actually perfectly leads into my next question. Since I know you're big on vintage Nike, what have you run into fakes, or have people kind of alluded to that? And I know there's on Instagram, there's people Nike's cracking down on this, that, and the other. What's your experience with that?
I definitely run into fakes, and the funny thing is it's tough too when you're first starting out to like spot this stuff. And that's why I think it's incredibly important to be on social media, because there's been times even myself where I've run across something that I've had, questions about that I didn't know of. And I throw it on Instagram, and then I can get a response back with people that are much more knowledgeable than I am. And so there's been cases where even Ross Dress for Less, what will happen is people will get these Nikes, and they'll take off the pouches and they'll put fake pouches on and then return the item, and nobody at the store knows about Nikes, so they'll just take their returned item.
If you could just go back and explain that for anyone that maybe doesn't know what that is.
Yeah, so Ross Dress for Less is a good way to purchase items. For example, Nike cleats, and there's Ross, Burlington, Marshalls. A good portion of the reselling community purchases Nikes and other shoes and sportswear and pretty much anything from those locations, and then resells it on eBay. And you've got to be careful when you're purchasing stuff, because a lot of people realize they think that going to a big box store, they're protected, that the item is not fake. But what a lot of people will do on Ross is they'll take jerseys or different products, especially with Nike, and they'll take off some of the emblems or embellish stuff or anything like that, and then they'll put on some fake ones. They'll go back and return that item that they purchased, and then the store clerks will have no idea that that's a fake. They'll take the item back and they'll put it on the shelf. So you've really got to be careful. And I think, like I said, it's really important to surround yourself with people that you're interested. Surround yourself with people that have the same interests as you on social media, especially Instagram. And that way, if you run across something that you see maybe possibly the stitching's wrong, you can put it on there, and then they can kind of gauge it from there, and that will protect you. there was a scare about Nike, and I don't know if you want me to go into that, but there's a lot of things that you got to be cognizant of when you're purchasing. And I think one thing too is Nike, they originally weren't on Amazon, and then they started coming on Amazon, and then they blocked all these new sellers from selling Nike.
Right.
Yeah.
That was calculated, that was definitely calculated. So I'm wondering if, and again, I don't want to put conspiracies out there, but I'm wondering if that's kind of the direction they're going with eBay a little bit. Like, eventually, will they sell on eBay? I don't know. I'm just saying that they're definitely cracking down on Nike resellers on eBay, and a good portion of that is because people are purchasing these shoes and they have defects, but they're selling them new, and they're just trying to protect their brands. And obviously, it doesn't hurt if there's less people selling it. So.
Yeah, I don't think you're off with that. I kind of think the same thing. I mean, it's all about profit at the end of the day. So if they can kind of max out their profits, and it's kind of like the Amazon effect in a sense too. They gate categories bit by bit by bit. So Nike's looking at their own, shoes. A lot of people are not ungated for Jordans, but you could sell other Nikes, for example, on FBA or Amazon in general. So,
at the end of the day, Nike. Yeah, at the end of the day, Mo, we've talked about this many a times. Nike wants us to buy brand new shoes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
They're not a big fan of the reselling market at all. I wouldn't, and like I said, you just got to protect yourself. You got to make sure if there's any scuffs, any flaws, you put that in the listing. And just because you're buying it from a Ross or Burlington or Marshalls doesn't necessarily mean that shoe is in pristine, new condition. You just got to make sure you put that in your listing, and that's where they're getting people.
Right there. Yeah. Disclosure. Oh yeah,
definitely. Okay, so we've talked about eBay a little bit. We've talked about Amazon a little bit. Can you go into how you got into Poshmark and a little bit about how you're doing with Poshmark right now?
Yeah, so I've got I just started dabbling in Poshmark. It's a completely different animal. It's a social media based platform, and I've been doing a lot on my YouTube channel, getting Poshmark, high end Poshmark sellers on there because I'm trying to learn. And again, guys, try to associate yourself. And that's the beautiful thing about Instagram is if you're interested in Poshmark, you can follow a bunch of Poshmark people. And then if the next day you're interested in selling electronics, you can follow a bunch of electronics people. So I've been trying to get in Poshmark. I've got about going on only about 300 items on there now. I'm trying to get up to about 1,000 in the next month. And Poshmark is really cool in many ways. They've got a better shipping program than eBay. For example, the buyer pays the shipping. And so if you price an item on eBay for $30 with free shipping, you're paying the shipping. On Poshmark, I'd price that same item for $24 because their shipping is right around $6. And then the cool thing about Poshmark is the shipping is anything that if you sell a t-shirt, the buyer pays shipping, and you can put that t-shirt in any flat rate priority box or padded polymail or whatever you want to do and ship it off. And it's the same exact cost because the buyer paid it. So the shipping is a lot more simplistic. The fees are way more simplistic. They charge 20%, but right when you list the item, they'll tell you exactly what your profit's going to be. So there's so many different pluses to Poshmark. Now, it does get a little bit strange because, everybody gets hung up on the fact that you got to share your closet and you've got to, share other people's closet. I think once you get on there for a day and you list one item, you'll realize that's very, very simple. And it's really just a sharing platform. And like I said, Mo and Russ, it's really important when you're full-time or even part-time and you're thinking about going full-time just to try these different platforms out and just experience it because you have no idea if you're going to fall in love. It took me forever to start Poshmark, and I really wish I would have just dove into it day one as opposed to waiting 2 months. So
and then when you started, because I've barely listed on Poshmark, so you've listed, it sounds like at least a little bit when you started on eBay, when you started on Poshmark, I mean, was it a lot more difficult, easier? Would you say you gained something because you already knew eBay?
Yeah. I would say I gained a little bit because, and what I mean by that is if you're selling online already, it's going to make your barrier to entry, it's going to be easier, right? But 100% Poshmark is definitely easier than eBay. I think it's definitely easier if I sat down my grandma right now and I said, hey, and I teach her Poshmark and eBay, I can teach her Poshmark 10 times quicker than I could eBay. You can do a lot from your phone. It's very simple. It takes me, 9 times less to list the same item on Poshmark as it does eBay. Now it's really easy for me because the way I do it is I'll list on eBay, and then I'll just transition the title, the description, and the photos to my phone on Poshmark, and it takes me 2 seconds to cross post. But that being said, I would highly recommend Poshmark, and it's really becoming a both men's and women's platform where up until recently they never had men's there. And I think that they did do a round of funding, and they'll soon offer international. Hints. Once Poshmark goes international, I think it's going to be even that much better. So definitely experience that as a new platform, and do it day one. At least do it now so nobody steals your name.
Do it.
That makes sense.
Have the same name.
And is it hard goods? Are hard goods allowed in any way?
No. They do sell makeup, stuff like that. But you couldn't sell like a TV or, who knows, maybe in the future. They never thought that they would do men's, and now they do. And they never thought they'd do international, and now
That's
they will
true.
soon. So, yeah.
Okay. So
What about vintage hats? I love my vintage hats, so snapbacks and stuff.
I would
They're
recommend
going
Etsy for anything like that. That vintage stuff sells really well on Etsy. But to your point, Russ, you definitely can sell vintage stuff on Poshmark. I sell a lot of it, and I get a lot of views, which are likes on Poshmark with my vintage Nikes. So,
nice.
you need clothes at all, and the return process is so easy on Poshmark. In fact, there is no returns unless there was a flaw that the buyer saw that wasn't in your listing. They can open a case, but there is no return, so you'll find that your return rate is way low on Poshmark.
Okay. So I think that's a perfect segue into social media in general, because Poshmark's more of a social media led platform. So I know you started with YouTube. It's probably going on a year now, I'm guessing. Why YouTube? Why did you think of YouTube first, or was YouTube even first? I'm not even sure.
Gosh, YouTube is so amazing, guys. Mo, like Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays on my YouTube channel. The purpose of this is to invite amazing resellers on my channel. So
let me cut you off real fast. I'm going to steal this from your show. Let everybody know how to get a hold of you.
Yes, absolutely, guys, absolutely. So it's Wade's Ventures on YouTube, and you can just type in Wade's Ventures. So, or you can go to Instagram, and you can go to my link tree, and it's there as well. And I'm a big fan of lifting people up on social media. In fact, I don't think it's competition. I want everybody to be at 1 million subscribers. I want to uncover really cool talent in the reselling community. And that's the purpose Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays for me. So to answer your question, Mo, the reselling and being on YouTube and being on Instagram, I would not be the reseller I am today without social media. It does so many different things for me, and I'll list a few. For example, it holds me accountable. So I feel like my audience, I cannot let them down with social media. I feel like I have to be at my peak performance. And so I'm going to list more. I'm going to sell more. It holds me accountable. The second thing it does that people don't realize is when I'm creating this content 10 years from now, I want my family, my kids that are now small, and when they get big, I want them to see me live. I want them to see their dad when he's young and spry. So a lot of people think it's just for reselling, but it's really not. It's for your family to go back in time and watch you. It's like a documented journey, right?
Yeah.
And the third thing too is the fact that you have access to so many cool people. I can meet so many amazing people, so many really cool resellers, different techniques that they use. I can go on your podcast and listen to you guys and learn something new. I can go to another one and learn something. It's incredible the access that you get. And then of course, as you get bigger, you're going to get, different doors will open. Wholesalers will reach out to you and say, hey, I've got these products. local resellers that are no longer in the game want you to purchase their inventory. So you'll get a lot more access there. You'll get invited, to eBay Open and, different, social events. So obviously and then you get paid on YouTube, once you get to the threshold you need to. So that being said, guys, social media plays a big part of my, it's a big part of my life now. And it never used to be. I mean, as of 8 months ago, my wife was doing the hashtags on my Instagram for me. That's no joke. I would send her a picture and she would do the hashtags. So it's, and now I'm going on 13,000 followers on Instagram. Right. So I don't know why all these crazy people are following me, because I don't have anything really cool to do or say, but I appreciate everybody that follows my journey and everybody that follows your guys' journeys and everybody that supports the growth of social media. And that leads me to my last point. A lot of people come up to me and say, hey, wait, is it too late to start a YouTube channel? It is not too late. It's beginning stages of starting social media. I'm telling you now, this is the beginning stages. Soon I'll be able to put something on my eyes, like glasses or something, and be like I'm right next to you guys doing this interview. So no, beginning stages of social media, guys, jump into it. And if the worst case scenario, if you don't want to put yourself out there on the internet, at least make these videos on YouTube and put yourself private, where nobody else can see the video, but you can still upload your journey to go back to and watch those videos. So
I wish I'd known that. I figured that part out recently. Because I was always scared to go. We started our show. We did podcasts only, so we've kind of gone a little bit into videos as well. So no, that's an awesome point right there. And then like with Instagram too, how have you kind of? It seems like you've grown so much on Instagram in such a short amount of time. Has that gone hand in hand with YouTube, or?
The reason Instagram is completely. I go on Instagram because I want to meet many. I use Instagram as a tool to make me a better reseller, and then on top of that, to uncover people for YouTube. So I'll go on Instagram. I'll find really cool people that I think would be really great online, and I'll put them on my YouTube channel and then show them to the world. So the Instagram, to your point, start Instagram today if you're not already, first. And second of all, try to grow your Instagram, because what happens is, you guys saw that article, right? Soon you're going to be able to sell clothing and different items off of Instagram,
Right.
Which means no fees except PayPal. And so there's always opportunity. Remember, we're in a very competitive world. So anything that you're interested in, whether it's social media or eBay, they're constantly evolving, which means more features and options for you. So always come into it thinking that you'll do your best, and do the best you can with whatever you're doing, whether it's social media or your current job. I mean, you got to be doing it anyways, so might as well try to do the best you can. And that way, when they roll out new features, you'll be one of the first to be able to experience it, and it'll better your life for the better. But yeah, social media has been, Instagram in general has been fantastic. And I've met so many amazing people there. It's crazy. I am so addicted to watching Insta stories now with some resellers and their bulk buys. I get people randomly messaging me saying, hey, there's a coupon, use this coupon. They'll send me coupons to use. So yeah, no, it's an awesome thing.
Wade, do you feel this too? As I know some of the bigger YouTube channels, they're getting endorsement deals now too. Mm-hmm. And my feeling is they're going to feed down into the masses that way, where if you've got, $100,000, $200,000 or 100,000, 200,000 Instagram followers, Nike's going to pay you to put their Nike logo on your shirt.
Yeah, it's social media.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's getting. Yeah. Here's the thing. I found with one thing that I hope that comes across, at least with my accounts, is I want to be 100% transparent. For me, I don't have to have a persona that I'm doing really good. If I'm doing bad, then I want to put that on the web too. I want to show people everything. So I think you have to be authentic when you're doing social media as much as you possibly can. And if you get big, great. I can tell you that with a little effort, a lot of people will follow you, but a massive amount will follow you if you're genuine. So you definitely got to be genuine on social media.
Yeah. There's a couple that I followed for years now up in your area, Pure Living for Life. And they're very genuine. They started out, as they did homestead. Their views, they get like 1 million per view now.
Oh, wow.
And wow. Yeah, it's just a neat channel to watch. They're building a homestead from nothing. So it's kind of neat to see from that. But yeah, great point, the genuine. And the funny thing is we can spot the fake pretty quickly. Just because, you're human, you're going to go, okay, yeah.
Yep. And people know when you're trying too hard. There was this, I keep bringing this up, but there's this construction worker on YouTube, and he literally put a video out how to do a 10 by 10 concrete slab. And in his title, he put how to pour a concrete slab. That's it. And it's got 4 million views. And it's this guy with no audio. He has no audio, and he's out there pouring a concrete slab. So, there's no excuses now. Here's the thing. I think you guys will agree with me. And I used to be closed-minded. I used to want to do stuff but not do it. You're only going to regret what you don't do. You will never regret what you've tried. So I think that if there's something that you want to do and you don't do it, you're always going to regret it until the day you do it. So just might as well jump in, try it out. And I can tell you what, all you need is your phone to do a video on YouTube, and all you need is your phone to do a live on Instagram. And so just try it out. Reach out to me. I will boost you,
I think you're 100% right about that. That guy with the cement. I watched somebody pour a pool with no audio this weekend, how to extend your pool out or something like that. I don't even have a pool. So
what's the one guy in New Zealand or whatever, the ancient technology, or have you ever watched those?
I probably have.
Oh man, this guy goes through how to build a mud hut. Jeez. And I guess he's one of the biggest YouTubes.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
because the biggest
and he says nothing, and he just goes through how to build this thing, and he's got a lot of copycats now. Yeah. But it's just found him on Reddit type thing.
Yeah,
he just sits there.
Toy came thing. Have you ever seen those kids, 4-year-olds that watch people opening gifts?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The first one. Yeah, the first lady that did that, she didn't have any audio at first. She just saw her hands, and she would just crumple the paper, and people like the sound of that, I guess. And it's got 20 million per. I can't explain it, but it's addictive, I guess. But okay. Yeah, I need to make an unboxing video for something.
And that, like I said, honestly, it's really fun for me. So everybody does interviews on YouTube, but it's really fun for me to take somebody that's never been on YouTube and put them live with me with 100 people watching, because you truly see who they are.
Yeah.
You get this really cool person that resells part-time, full-time, doesn't matter. And then you put them live with 100 people and so many really cool people in chat commenting, and you can ask them questions, and not only reselling related, but how they got there, what led them to that point of reselling. And it's a natural high for me to do that. And that's why I do it 3 times a week, is because 3 times a week I can get really cool people and uncover really cool stuff. And there's a lot of techniques that they have that I never heard of, So it's a really interesting way to interview. But again, it takes a lot of courage to start that. I mean, can you imagine never being on YouTube and all of a sudden you're live? So I commend people who are thinking about it. Just take the leap and try it out. You will love social media.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it gets addictive too. So any big plans for your channel? Anything that, you're thinking about doing you haven't implemented yet?
So I am doing, I've got about 20 videos of just how-to videos that I'm doing once a week. Last week I did how to ship a hat with a Ziploc bag. So I'm just doing different ways that I, just run my business every week. And then Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, I'll do the interviews. I will be going to eBay Open, so I'll probably be doing a lot of lives there. But in regards to just my structure with my YouTube, I don't know. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing now. But I am working on a lot of collaborations. We're doing some collaboration videos too. So it's just been a really, really cool time. I think I'm a better person after joining social media. And guys, I've only been on here for about a year. And even then, I only created 4 videos on YouTube and I took 4 months off. So really 7 months is what I've been doing. And I mean, if you go back on my Instagram, you'll notice that my first post was, less than a year ago. So, you're talking to somebody that never even had Instagram downloaded on his phone. And now I do. So yeah, it's just, it's been a really cool time. I think it's made me a better person. Being able to meet so many cool people. And remember, reselling is a lonely gig. You got your family, but how many times can you talk about reselling to your family before they, tune you out? So all you guys are my coworkers, right?
We've all chased our spouse around going, look at this, look at this, look at this. Yeah.
You get the eye roll. Like,
yeah, you get that,
here we go again.
That's great. That's great. No, look, that's great. Yeah, but God bless them because they do have to put up with us.
Yeah, I've got one last tip, guys.
Yes.
If your spouse is on the fence, with reselling, you need to download the apps that you're reselling onto their phone. So if they're iffy on eBay, download the PayPal and eBay app on their phone. So when the items start selling, they'll get involved. I promise you it helps.
That cha-ching. Oh yeah, that's changed a lot.
Yes.
I'm really blessed, Wade. My wife is now 100%. And I mean, she sources with me, she lists with me. I mean, it's been great to double our business. And so people that are getting to that point, it is wonderful to have that.
Isn't it really cool to be able to spend time with your wife with something you both enjoy that can make you guys money? I think it's really cool.
I'm hoping to be there in 2 months. We'll see. We'll see. She's still full-time biotech, so we'll see by September. So, okay. So we're going to do something kind of off the wall a little bit. We're just some rapid fire, random questions, nothing crazy, but they may not be reselling related. So we'll start with something easy. Okay, Russ, you want to get started or?
Go ahead, Mo. I know we're getting
cool.
tight on time, so go ahead and shoot them off.
Actually, before we do that, let's go to the chat real fast because I just saw a question that I just passed on. Rising Grind Picker was asking Shane, let's see, do you do a spreadsheet for tax purposes? I have GoDaddy and Posh does not import directly, which is a huge downfall. Did you have any?
Yes, I actually have. I don't know if Rising Grind actually knew that I use GoDaddy. I love GoDaddy because it auto syncs most stuff. So it will auto sync your eBay fees, what you sold it for, all that information. It'll give you profit and loss. It'll auto sync your PayPal and most other platforms, your credit, debit card, business accounts. But it does have issues with Poshmark. I would assume that would get fixed soon. I don't know. Poshmark is a new platform still. So, but I do have a spreadsheet that I use, and if you want, I can send it out to you. Okay. And that helps. Though there's 2 things that you need to realize when you go full time: time management, and you need to manage your money. And whether you get a simple spreadsheet or you get auto sync GoDaddy if you're not on Poshmark, it's just something you got to know your numbers when you're full time. So
know your numbers.
You got and 2, there's been so many times that people purchase stuff and then they realize that when they sell it, they didn't make any money on it. So you got to know what you're buying stuff for. If you buy 100 items and one item is $1, one item's $3, average all the items out, and then that's your total cost of what you spent on the goods. And then when you sell it, minus the fees, and make sure you're actually making money.
Okay, so that makes good sense, and I need to look into that. Okay, so I'm going to ask a couple questions real fast. Okay, any YouTubers that you watch or social media people that are not reselling related that you could recommend? Is it just just to take the time away that kind of help in a different way?
Mm-hmm. So there's 2 people. Desi Hernandez is a life coach. Guys, our brain is constantly moving, and we need people to untangle our brain. And we need somebody to talk to that's not your wife and kids, right? So there's a lot of life coaches out there that are virtually free. And Desi only is $10 a month, and I have access to her, and I can talk to her, tell her what my issues are, and she can unravel my brain. So that's our YouTube channel. Another one, guys, is if you're starting YouTube up, you need to follow YouTubers that teach people how to YouTube. And one I recommend is called Creator Fundamentals. So if you have a YouTube channel up, Creator Fundamentals, the guy has just started a channel as an example and has already reached 10,000 followers in a few months. And all he does is teach people how to do YouTube. And you think it's easy, but it does take a lot of technique. And that's one YouTube channel that I would recommend following, Creator Fundamentals. And obviously there's other programs like, TubeBuddy and stuff that you can download that are free to help you with that as well.
Yeah, I downloaded that this week.
What's your guilty pleasure on YouTube, Wade?
Oh man, I've got two of them. I've got three of them. I love watching Marvel videos, like the new video that came out. You can watch like Thanos versus the Hulk. I can sit there and watch those all day long because there's so many different like characters and stuff.
You like the fan made ones?
Yeah. Well, yes.
Yeah.
The ones that get 1 million views in an hour. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So yeah, I love watching that. I love live storage unit videos. I love watching videos that have live storage units. So I'll type in live storage unit, and then you can filter by this week, this month, so you can do newer stuff. And then the last thing is I love typing in eBay. I know it's reselling related, but eBay reseller, and then filter by week. And then also look at the lowest amount of views, and then I can uncover really cool people that just started, YouTube that are reselling.
It's like a reverse search.
Nice.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Nice. Now we've hit the hour mark, so I don't want to hold Wade for any longer because I know he's got some other stuff to do. So if you could just real quick tell people how they can get a hold of you, where you'll be next, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So before I do that, I just want to say I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thank you.
You guys,
thank you very much.
Yeah, and everybody that's watching this now live and everybody's watching this after the fact, I had Mo on my YouTube channel, and we talked for an hour, and it's already approaching 1,000 views. Really cool people that'll watch that, and I just want to say, I definitely want to have you guys back on my YouTube channel. You guys bring a lot of value. I hope that we can highlight this YouTube channel more because I think that you guys definitely need to be in the spotlight. You do really cool stuff. So I just want to say I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And people can find me on, if you go to Wade's Ventures, all my social media is the same name. It's Wade's Ventures on YouTube, Wade's Ventures on Instagram. And if you're starting social media, guys, and you're just getting into it, make sure that your name is the same across all platforms. So when people love you and they can reach out to you in multiple ways. But yeah, so Wade's Ventures on YouTube, Wade's Ventures on Instagram, and it's really a pleasure being on here, Mo. It really was really cool. So
thank you so much. We're gonna have to have you on again, and I'm gonna let Wade go now because I know he's real busy today. But for everyone out there listening on iTunes, watching on YouTube, if you catch us after the fact, please check out Wade's YouTube channel, Wade's Ventures, and he's on Instagram as well. And we'll put all of that down below in the show notes. But until the next one, and for Russ and myself, thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next time. Have a good one, guys. Bye.
Thanks, guys.